Away from the markets now, South Africa's former Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is criticizing KPMG LLP for the withdrawal of a tax report used against him in police probe. The audit firm last Friday asked authorities to disregard its conclusions in the report filed to the South African Revenue Service on grounds that the evidence is inconsistent with Gordhan's knowledge. According to Gordhan, the public was intimidated by the KPMG report, which is supposedly fraught with irregularities, and must apologize for denying the public of truth. KPMG, however, admits errors in the report but claims they weren't intentional nor politically motivated. KPMG is the latest international company to come under fire for becoming embroiled in the nation's politics. Central banks cannot continue to ignore cryptocurrencies due to the risk it poses to the financial system. That's the position of the Bank for International Settlements, also known as BIS. The analysis is coming after a turbulent week of investments in digital currencies, which they warranted harsh comments from the executive of JP Morgan Chase & Co., Jamie Dimon, calling Bitcoin a fraud. According to the BIS, regulators are faced globally with the dilemma of issuing a digital currency and its attributes as the decision becomes pressing in countries like Sweden. The Dutch central bank now has its own cryptocurrency for internal use as U.S. officials explore the options. As payment systems go mobile, cryptocurrencies are gaining in popularity while central banks examine the underlying blockchain technology, which promises to speed up clearing and settlements. And back here in Nigeria, the incentive-based rate-sharing system for agricultural lending is into a 50 billion naira agriculture financing partnership with Stanbic IBTC Bank. Under the terms of the partnership, NERSAL is to provide credit guarantees to cover up to 75% of Stanbic IBTC loans to bankable agriculture projects using its $300 million risk-sharing facility. NERSAL looks to support projects in livestock, crops, mechanization, logistics and poultry within the 2017 and 2018 seasons. The first phase of the scheme is also projected to create over 92,000 direct jobs, impact about 200,000 lives, and boost income of rural farmers and complement government efforts to drive inclusive economic growth through agriculture. And Petra Diamonds Limited has reported a 4.3% fall in full-year 2016 adjusted profits. The mining company has also resumed operations at Williamson Mine in Tanzania after a 4-day stoppage. Petra Diamonds halted operations at the Tanzanian mine last week after the government seized a consignment and questioned some of its personnel as part of a crackdown on the mining sector. The miners' adjusted earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization fell to $157.2 million for the 12 months to June 30, from $164.3 million in the year before due to delayed ramp-up of the expansion programs and higher cash costs. The full-year revenue rose 10.7% to $477 million on higher production. And as the Egyptian government seeks cheaper finance offshore, the cabinet is expected to approve a 1.5 billion in euro-denominated bonds within the next couple of weeks. According to the finance minister, Amir El-Grahi, talks are ongoing with some European investment banks as the first Egyptian notes in euros is likely to have tenors of 5 to 10 years. With local borrowing costs above 15%, Egypt is increasingly looking at international debt markets to capitalize on growing investor confidence. The Arab Republic looks to sell the bonds before the end of November. And staying in Egypt, the heavy dependence on the tourism sector for foreign currency and jobs has seen the government taking measures to increase the number of visitors to its ancient artifacts and sunny beaches. The Ministry of Antiquities has dubbed 2017 as the year of discoveries following a number of major finds unearthed in the ancient city of Luxor, which they say have contributed to an increase in tourism revenue.
Egypt's tourism revenues jumped by 170% in the first 7 months of 2017, reaching $3.5 billion. The head of Luxor's Antiquities Authority believes this increase can be partly attributed to the numerous ancient sites discovered which are open to the public.
When every 6 months or less we discover a new antiquity, the foreigner abroad might say, I missed it, or I should travel to see the new discovery. Some are very interested, like the French or any other nationality, and like to go see all antiquities in countries. The repeaters in this case could visit 5, 6, 7, 8 times. This is the contribution of the Ministry of Antiquities to stimulate the tourism. It promotes it to tourists.
The number of tourists visiting Egypt rose by 54% in the same 7-month period on an annual basis to reach 4.3 million, boosted by the increase in visitors from Germany and Ukraine. That number is still well below the 14.7 million who visited Egypt in 2010 before the 2011 uprising that toppled long-time autocrat Hosni Mubarak and ushered in a prolonged period of political and social crisis. But the cheaper Egyptian pound brought on after the government floated the currency last year also means that the country has become an affordable destination for many non-Europeans as well.
For me, it was a dream to come in Egypt. You know, the culture, you know, pharaohs. I wanted to see always the big helmet, you know, in the museum in Cairo, you know, of Tutankhamun. Of course, the wonderful of the world of the pyramids. It's a place we want to come, but we feel it was the opportunity because it was cheap flight. And we feel here really safe.
According to officials, Europeans made up 75% of visitors, while Arabs made up 20%. Egypt hopes the number of tourists will reach 8 million for 2017, up from 4.5 million last year.
When Business Incorporated returns in a moment to look at how the Naira is performing at the Forex market. Do stay with us.